Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube. So today I thought I would show you how I edit my photos, specifically beach photos, so with sand, with blue water, with people in the background, with lighting, just to kind of let you know what I do and to show you, just to help you. So let's get into it. So this is the photo I'm going to be editing. As you can see, it's quite bright because it was a really sunny day. So first of all, I'm just going to alter the skyline because it's the horizon, because it seems to be a little bit lower on that side, so I'll just press this one. And as you can see, there's this line here, and you can see there's a little bit of difference there between just the distance between the line, the horizontal line, and where the sea actually is, the ocean. So you can just move that ever so slightly. Okay, so that's fine. You could also crop it a little bit if you fancy, so it's nice to have the model, you know, third way across, but I think I'll just do it a tiny bit. It's also quite nice to have the sea. So you have the, obviously people know this already, but you have these lines here that splits it into thirds basically, which is always nice for the eye. So it's good to have the ocean, the horizon on that top line. It's also nice to have the person's eyes on this one of the lines as well, so to kind of make it visibly pleasing, because if you chopped it to here it'd be rubbish, or here it wouldn't be quite as nice, because it's kind of, she takes up the whole frame. Whereas if you move that up a little bit, I mean even here it's fine, but it's just slightly off. It just seems like there's a bit too much space up here. So if you just move that down slightly a little bit, and I'm happy with that there, so I'll press done. So that just kind of leveled it off a little bit, cropped it down a little bit, and just made it a little bit more visibly pleasing, I guess. So as you can see here, everything is set to 0. Now what I do have is I have lots of presets here that I change and I use for different photos and different photo shoots. But there's one that I call better, which basically just enhances the photo. It just makes it a little bit better. The colours pop a little bit more. The makes it a little bit sharper. The contrast is a little bit higher. But actually for this photo I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to undo it and I'm just going to show you manually what I actually do to edit photographs usually, if I don't use that better tool. So first of all, the contrast is a little bit high, but I'll come back to that later on, only because when you start editing the colours and the blacks and whites and things like that, I think the exposure should really be the last thing that you do. So I personally leave that to last. Some people I know start with that to begin with, but just to show you, so I probably will have to bring it down probably to there. But you know, if you bring it down further it goes dark, and more it goes lighter. So for the moment I'll leave that there. So if you want to go back to 0, just double click and that takes it back to 0. So whenever you make a mistake or you go too far or you're not quite sure, double click back to 0 and you're fine again. So contrast I always bring up to about 10. I don't like it too much, so I'll just show you what happens if you do it too much. And then if you do it the other way, so that goes really blurry and that goes really sharp, but I think it's too fake. So I generally bring it to about 10. So for this photo I'm going to leave the highlights. I might bring them down later on depending, we'll see. Shadows I'm going to bring up. This seems to be my kind of general thing, is to have the shadows up to 20 and the blacks down 20. And then what I'll do also is the whites. I might just bring those up a bit as well to 20. I mean, I can alter this afterwards. Everything on Lightroom isn't permanent, so you can do things and alter it and change it, and it could go back to how the photo was originally, which is really great, because if you're not happy you can just go back to the original photograph. So clarity I always bring up to about 10. Let's just bring that up. I'll just show you what that does. It kind of, again, it's kind of blurry and sharper, but I don't know, kind of darker, and so I only really bring that to 10 usually. Vibrance I usually bring to about 10, and then saturation I'll leave how it is, because I feel like when you move saturation it alters all the colours, but including the skin colour. So if I was to bring that up, the skin goes really orange. Even the blue is nice, the skin goes really orange, and I don't really like that, so I tend to leave the saturation at 0. Tone curve I do not touch. This one is the colours. So depending on the photo I kind of alter this. I'll get back to that in a moment. Split toning I don't really do. So sharpening, I sharpen the image to usually about 70 and then the masking to about 50 or 60. Let's bring it to 60. That makes it just a little bit sharper, but also not too much, I guess. On dark photos, I use sometimes the noise reduction. I won't use it now for this one, but it kind of just evens out any noise in the photo. Lens correction, I like to do this one, so it just kind of makes, I don't know if you can see the difference really. I guess in this bottom corner, if you have a look there, you might be able to see it. It kind of just makes the photo flatter, if that makes sense. And then that's it really. I don't really do the vignetting just because that's not really my style, but I know basically it does that. Some people enjoy that. I particularly don't. Sometimes I might do like, you know, up to 10 maximum, but I don't like it when you can see, you know, I don't like it like this basically. Anyway, so I'm going to leave that one for now. So I'm going to go back to the exposure and bring that down slightly. That seems about right, 65. And then I'm going to go back to these. So the saturation, so this alters the saturation of all the colours found in the image. So for the blue, for example, if you bring that all the way up, all the blues suddenly pop. And if you bring it all the way down, all the blues are hidden. Not hidden, but they go grey. So I'm going to bring this up to about 15. And then same with aqua, because aqua is obviously the colour of the water. If you bring it down, you can see it alters it. And that seems too fake, so let's bring it to 15, see how we go. I might turn it up a bit. We might move it up a little bit more afterwards. I also changed the luminance, so this makes things brighter or darker. So I'll do it with the green, the aqua, sorry. So that's darker, and that's lighter. And I don't want to lose all of that green, aqua colour. So I think I'll bring it to about 15 just to make it a little bit brighter but not losing too much colour. I can't get to 15. Oh my god, this is killing me. Oh my god, there we go. And then I go in the blue, so it makes the blues darker or lighter. So again, I don't want to lose too much colour, but I do want to brighten the image slightly just by doing that. Can I get it to 15? There we go. So this is where you can also change different colours. If there's, you know, if there was something red here or yellow, I could probably bring that down, bring the colour down by doing that. So for the moment, I'm quite happy. What's going on here? It looks like a finger. Oh no, it's just that. So I'm quite happy with the photo how it is, apart from the people in the background. So I just wanted to show you how I do it. It might be wrong, but it seems to work for me, and I quite like how it works, basically how the photos end up. So what I do is I grab this tool here, which I think it's basically there, yeah, spot removal, but you can use it for other things, which is what I do. So if you come off from there, you can see the size of the selection tool. I think that's probably a good size. You can change the feathering as well. So if you want a large feathering or short feathering, so I'll make it about 50, about halfway. And the opacity is obviously if it's see-through or not, so I'll stick with that for now. So what I do is I just select people in the background here, make sure to get the reflection in the water, and then the computer Lightroom will automatically choose a spot to cover it with. Now you can either do heal, which will kind of fade over it but match in with its surroundings, or you can do clone, in which this section is literally placed here, which I sometimes don't like because it doesn't quite go with how the surrounding area looks. So I'll go for heal with this one. So that one is done. I'm not a pro, so I don't know how to move across the screen without stopping and then starting again, so sorry about that. Anyway, start again. Let's select this guy. Make sure to get his reflection there, because otherwise that's a bit of a telltale sign that somebody was stood there. And that'll just budge it over to there and cover him up. And then this one, make sure to get her reflection again. And that's fine as well. You can just check, just double check that you can't, you know, that it's not super obvious. I don't really like this bit here, so I don't know what that is. That's part of him, isn't it? Okay, let's cover that bit again. So sometimes it does this, it goes up to the sky and you've just got to bring that back down and bring it to somewhere where it might be more suited colour-wise. I don't really like that either. I know it's a wave, but let's just get rid of that. Okay, so that's done. And then we'll move over here. And same again, so just get rid of these little faces, these little heads in the water. Done. So when you zoom out, it looks like she's on the beach on her own, and unless you were really, really looking, I mean, even then you can't really, maybe a tiny bit there. I'm just going to move that on a tiny bit. That's a bit better. So unless you were really, really looking, maybe then you could see. I can't remember who that person was, so now I can't see. But otherwise it kind of works really well, and that's how I do it. So yeah, I think I'm happy with that really. Let's make it a tiny bit darker. Yeah, that works. So that is my final photographs. Now if you compare to the first photo, it doesn't look hugely edited, but actually as you can see, a lot has changed. So I've taken out all the people, I've made her dark a little bit, her hair a little bit darker. The blues and greens in the water and in her dress stand out a little bit more. What else did we do? Just made it a little bit sharper, a little bit brighter, not brighter, darker, but you know, making the image stand out a bit more and getting rid of the background really. So that is how I edit photographs. It usually takes me about this long. It depends on, you know, the style of photo and what. I feel like the first photo when I'm editing a group of photos usually takes me a little bit longer, just the time to kind of figure out what I'm doing and my settings. Once I've done one, I can then do the rest of that photo shoot, or that session, or that section at least of the photo shoot the same, and I can do it pretty quickly and whiz through it. So that was my tutorial for the model on the beach. I really hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for more videos. I'm going to edit probably quite a few images today, upload them, and yeah, let you know what I do. So see you in the next one. Bye.